Yeah, so there have been talks about it, right? Like I love the idea of doing it, and we talked with my marketing agent. And there's just one day I remember me and Elisa, my fiance, we were just sitting on the couch, and he calls us, and he's like, "Yo, like, would you guys want to do the Masked Singer?" And I'm like, "Yes, like, just sign us up already, please." So yeah, I guess from there it just kind of kept going. You know, he figured out all the details, and here we are. Yeah, it was pretty intense. So when we filmed it, it was at the tail end of OTA. So my first performance actually when I performed Lose Control was I left OTA's practice, showered up really fast, sprinted from the locker room, and got back home, picked up Elisa, and then we went straight to filming. So we missed the majority of the day, but before all of that, there's a bunch of choreography practices. There's a bunch of, of course, recording. We were able to record like a track so that I can hear it back and figure out what I actually want to do live, because we do sing it live. And so there's recording, choreography. We did a bunch of different rehearsals with the camera so that they can figure out what angles they wanted, and just kind of how to make the entire performance a big deal. So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, so we filmed. Then, I got the ding dong, keep it on bell. So after that, they're like, okay, like the next group has to come in and film some of their stuff. And then went on a trip to Hawaii with the fiance, cleared my mind, came back ready to go. And so we ended up in the quarterfinals and did our thing there. It was really hard. Like I remember, so I'm a perfectionist. So even during OTAs, when we figured out that I was going to be doing this, and then I get the song choices that I'm going to do, I'm in the hot tub humming a song, and I remember it was actually Kobie Turner, and I just texted him about this yesterday. But I'm over there humming a song. I think I was humming Miss Independent because that was my week 2 song. So I'm humming it, and I'm like humming through that song like 3-4 times. Of course, like, yo, you've been singing that song a lot today. And it was like, I rock with that song though. Like, that's from way back, but is that like, it's just on your mind or something? And I was like, yeah, dude, like it's just stuck in my head right now. The whole time I had to go back later and actually perform it. So, but it was really hard to keep that from the guys. But once all the recording was done, it was like, okay, like let's get back to ball. And so I was able to kind of focus on ball. And then when the show started coming out, I got really excited for it. So.
What was the thing that you went through this process and maybe didn't realize that after going through it, you realized was maybe different than your
Yeah, I think just the personal growth that I feel like I had through this process, like to just be up under a mask is a really cool experience. I never thought of the power in that, but I was just completely myself. Like I was doing all these funky dance moves. Like I could barely move. The thing is huge, and every single step I took like double HP. Like I could not breathe to save my life. But to just be up under that mask, to be able to be the silly, goofy version of myself that I've always had, I always have been, his was something that I wasn't really expecting. But there's just so many different experiences, so many behind the scenes things, so many funny moments. There was one time we were at rehearsal and I fell asleep on the stage sitting because they had to like bring up a stool because my costume's big, and so I'm sitting on the stool, but my shoulders are like this because that's where the arm loops are when I sit. And so I'm leaning my head up against the top of the thing, and and they're like, Kobie, they're in my in-ears. They're like, Kobie, or they don't say Kobie, sorry. They say Goo. They're like, Goo, Goo. Like, we got to run this rehearsal. And I was knocked out on the chair. So they're like, Goo, come on. And so finally, my vocal coach, Ali, had to come up on the stage, or one of the stagehands had to come and get me and wake me up and be like, okay, like we're rehearsing again now, like wake up. But there's just so many moments, and being able to tap into the real side of myself, right? I always fight to be the authentic version of myself at all times. But being able to be in that space where nobody knows who you are, and to just be up under that mask is like, I'm gonna just be me, and I'm gonna have the most fun that I can have. So that was fun. It's not like on the football field, it's a really cool release. And at the same time, a lot of times there are expectations of how do you handle yourself on the football field, and how do you, and so even just within my personality, I've kind of pushed those limits, whether it be like last year, AD used to always pick on me about doing crazy dance moves and walkthrough, but when it was time to go, like I was completely locked in. But there are a lot of expectations of you, but I think it's a similar thing of you can just be yourself, and then when it's time to go, do your thing. Like as long as you're getting the job done, as long as you're completely locked in and the work shows that this matters to me, you can be yourself. Yeah, I was frustrated. So obviously, being in this building and being a Ram, like I'm an ultimate competitor. So everything I'm doing is like, man, like I should have did this, or I'm dissecting my performances, and I'm like, man, like when I had to get up out under the stage, like I was feeling a little breathy or whatnot, but honestly, it was just such a great experience. And so for a little while, like I definitely had to have a couple debrief talks with my fiance. I thought that I would have made it farther, and I know that I could have. But it was just such a great experience. Like when you truly just look back on what this has given me the ability to do, and regardless if I fully win or if I just am able to put out some music, if I'm able to go and show people that you really can do both, right? There's so many positives and so many great things that have come for that. So definitely had a little bit of frustration and a little bit of competitiveness, but at the end of the day, it was just such a great experience, and it brought healing to myself, first and foremost. So I think you kind of have a say, but they pitch it to you essentially. So they were like, boom, you're gonna be this like cute, slimy, like kind of like, oh, we're scared of him, but also like, oh, look at his bow tie, he's so cute, type of guy. So, and then all of the costumes are based on something from your life. So for me, I did Slime Time last year with Nickelodeon, and so they took that and ran with it, and we're like, okay, we're gonna make a big costume, goo. And yeah, and then also the fact that I play ball, allows me to be able to carry a big costume and to be able to perform in it as well. So, but I loved being Goo. Like Goo is something that it will forever be right there, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think it meant a lot. It was really validating that, this is something that I can do, and that I hope is validating for everybody, right? For anybody who's trying to do both, that if you just put in the sweat equity, like you really go after it, that you can do both. And it was kind of a full circle moment, because my whole life it's been choose football or choose music. I'm taking extra course classes, but people want me to take extra weightlifting classes so I can get better at football, because I say that I want to go to school for football. And yes, I do want to go to school for football, but to be able to balance that, I'm just going to go in and put in the extra work in the mornings and go get some extra lifts in the morning so that I can still go and fulfill this other passion. And so I think for it to kind of come full circle like that, and to be able to get some of the feedback was really, really cool. And I'm excited for kind of how things go from here, whether it be through putting out some more music, but to just truly be able to live in that authentic part of myself, and to be able to bring the totality of who I am to the surface was a truly special moment. Oh, they were shocked. They're really shocked. Everybody's been like dapping me up, and they're like, "No way!" Like I see all of the comments on my posts from last night, and they're like, "No way!" Like this is so crazy. They're like, "How have you kept this from us?" But yeah, it's been really cool.